Yeah. Yes, we are live now. Go ahead, please start.
Hello everyone, good evening and namaste. I'm Dr. Sarika Savan, Assistant Professor at SHPT School of Library Science. I wholeheartedly welcome today's speaker, Mrs. Hina Mehta, and the participants for the fourth day of International Faculty Development Program on Libraries' Response to COVID-19 Enhanced Library Services, organized by SNDT Women's University, SHPT School of Library Science in association with J. Vatumal Sadhubela Girls College and Mumbai University College Teachers Association. I request everybody to rise for the national anthem followed by the SNDT Women's University song. Thank you.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Now I will brief about the university and the organizing institutions. SNDT Women's University is the first women's university in India as well as in Southeast Asia. Our university is 104 years with its foundation in 1916 by our founder Bharat Ratna Maharshi Dr. Dondolji Keshav Karve for a noble cause of women's education. The university is committed to create an inclusive society that promotes and protects the dignity, equality, social justice, and human rights for all, with special emphasis on empowerment of women. The motto of university is Sanskrita Stri Parashakti, that is, an enlightened woman is a source of infinite strength. Bharat Ratna Maharshi Karve Knowledge Research Center of the university seeks to facilitate comprehensive access to print collection, digital collection, and online databases. The objective is to procure, organize, and disseminate information in different formats. To enhance the support the academic environments by providing seamless access to information resources. Today, library provides access to digital resources through Discovery Service System. I would like to highlight here one facet of the library that BMKKRC at Churchgate Juhu Pune campus conducts Professor Vidyut Khandwala lecture series every year in the memory of Professor Vidyut Khandwala, founder librarian of SNDT Women's University. In this lecture series, eminent personalities are invited to talk on a varied topics. Since more than 60 years of its existence, SHPT School of Library Science is empowering women students to offering postgraduate courses such as Masters in Library and Information Science and PhD. ICT-based curriculum with foundation of Elias Field and library internship makes our students ready to work in any type of library such as academic, public, special and corporate libraries. The school uses Moodle to offer the course and hold lectures on e-communication platforms. One of the uniqueness of MLIC course lies in fourth semester where two optional papers such as school and children's librarianship and archives management are offered. J. Vatumil Sadhuvela Girls College is a Sindhi minority college which started in 1994 and is affiliated to University of Mumbai. The college offers undergraduate and postgraduate courses in commerce and management. The students have achieved academic excellence in the short span of time and have proved themselves in academic fields, sports, and cultural activities. Now I invite Dr. Minakshi to introduce Mukta.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and warm welcome on behalf of MUTA. MUTA is registered association and is affiliated to ABRSM. Since inception, that is 2008, MUTA is taking keen interest in teachers' well-being. A massive awareness drive was conducted throughout Mumbai University affiliated colleges under the leadership of Dr. Shekhar Chandrakre as a president and Dr. Namdev Mandge as general secretary. Now, under the leadership of Dr. Vaibhav Naravde as a president and Professor Subhash Atavale as general secretary, lots of initiative has been taken for teachers training, to educate teachers towards their responsibility and to provide information. The teacher education cell is created. Teachers grievance cell is also created and very active to support the teachers to resolve their grievances. A new website is launched by MUTA to give the informations and knowledge to teachers. During pandemic, lots of activities are taken up by MUTA team. Immediately after the lockdown, the team has decided to organize webinars for teachers. Since 4th April 2020, 12 webinars independently being conducted by MUTA on innovative topics. Almost 2,000 teachers from more than 100 universities across India as well as abroad have taken up the opportunity to take the knowledge from the webinars. Then MUTA team has decided to give the technical support to the various colleges and university. As an outcome, 6 colleges and universities are organizing webinars till now with MUTA Association. We are all gathered here on 4th day of the International FDP in collaboration with SNDT University and its affiliated college. Thank you. Thank you, and please take up the charge of this session, please.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to introduce our today's speaker, a proud SHPTN, Mrs. Hina Mehta. She works as library media specialist in Benjamin Franklin Middle School, Teaneck, New Jersey, USA. I'm glad to note here that Mrs. Hina Mehta is the alumni of SHPT School of Library Science. She did her BLIC from SNDT Women's University. She holds many certificates and degrees such as Elementary Education Certificate, MA in Educational Media and Supervisory Certificate from Williamson Patterson University. She has her Webmaster certification from Fairleigh Dickinson University. She is also a Google certified educator. She has worked in K-12 education system as school library media specialist since 1996. She implements 21st century skills in alignment with ISTE and AASL standards and also initiated makerspace and robotics for students in the library. She maintains the library resources to promote literacy, including books, ebooks, databases, and other online resources. She has presented numerous workshops for parents, teachers, and community members and has strengthened strong collaboration between school librarians in and out of district and has cultivated strong public library partnership. During 1996 to 2010, she developed and maintained the school district website too. She is volunteering at Vivekananda Vidyapeeth and Academy of Indian Philosophy School of Character Education, that is a Sunday school, from 2001 onwards. She was nominated for Governor's Award for Educator of the Year 2019, which is one of the significant achievements of her career. She has contributed in this COVID situation as well. She helped in acquire the 3D printers for the school that came to use in creating over 300 face shields for the local hospital during the start of COVID-19 crisis. Mrs. Hina Mehta, on behalf of organizing committee, we thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome you for today's session. I'm sure that her talk will give us insight of school library system in USA from COVID perspectives. I request Mrs. Hina Mehta to deliver her talk. Thank you.
Everybody, welcome. Okay, I'm so thankful to SHPD School of Library Science for making me a librarian. I'm thankful for MUTA and SNDT University to host this. Especially, I want to thank Ms. Parekh and Ms. Mariola for their guidance all throughout so that I have been conducting this. Thank you to Dr. Sarika Savan, Dr. Jyoti Babal, Dr. Parul Zaveri, and many others who are behind the scenes working on this. So welcome. Okay, what does a school librarian do? Okay, I am going to start sharing my screen up so that we can see that and we go forward with that. Okay, as a school librarian, okay, and we go. Okay. As you can see, as a school librarian, it has to be very vibrant. It has to have a place where it's safe for students, for children to come and feel they belong. Okay. So what did I do before COVID? As a school librarian, your goals are similarly and it should be aligned with the American Association of School Library Standards, which is to prepare students for tomorrow. We have heard yesterday with the personal librarian, we have heard with other librarians who said that it is so important for students to know how to research, for people to know how to research. So these are the standards that American Association of School Libraries have created, which we align towards, okay? To break it down, the New Jersey Association of School Librarians have also broke it down into many different pieces, including, as you see, there is STEM and maker activities, including digital citizenship, which is very important because in this day and age, especially where everybody is all online, we need to know that the students and teachers and us as librarians are performing everything we can with being a good digital citizen, okay? About my library. Let me talk a little bit about where I am and what I do. It's a school library. It's a middle school for grades 5 through 8. It's a one-person library. We have about 600 patrons that includes students and teachers. I have a flexible schedule. What does that mean? Which means I am not a specialist where people come and drop students and teachers leave. I cover when the teachers are with me, helping students, helping teachers at the same time. So what do? Flexibility based on availability and collaboration. So I collaborate with teachers to make sure I can accommodate them for either book circulation, for research-based projects, okay? What do I do as a librarian? Okay, because it's only one person, I have to make sure I have to do book acquisition, processing, maintenance, reading, okay, circulation, students coming in, making sure their library information is all updated. That's patron maintenance on the database. If there's any overdue books, try to get the overdue books back from them, all the reports and its analysis, and a lot of interlibrary loan also, okay. What else can we do in the library? Okay, the book clubs, student council, makerspace and robotics, and Girls Who Code. These are a few things that I do, which are little connected with library, but a little extension of the library. Okay, so with that being said, okay, what do I do as an educator? Okay, you have to know the curriculum. You have to know the culture of the school. You have to collaborate with teachers. In order to understand the curriculum, you need to see what they are teaching at what grade level, what is their curriculum, what it encompasses. Also, we check and see that school, who can you reach first or who's willing to adapt first, okay? So that's the teacher collaboration comes in. You talk to the teachers, see what their needs are, how you can help them, whether it is integrating the resources, whether it's books, it's any kind of other media, whether it's audio, video, any other kind of things that we can do, not only to use and integrate for research, but also to create, okay? So these are the integrating research and skills. I know yesterday we heard from the personal librarian talking about how they have to strategize how to do research. That is what we try to do also at school level. In school level, students have to learn how to use different kinds of online resources, especially these days where they can find anything with a click and Google anything they want. How do we sift that information? How do we know what resources to use? Okay. And the most important is the digital citizenship. When you see information, how do you know it is true? How do you differentiate between facts and fiction? How do you go and find out whether it's okay for me to use that information? So these are kind of things, some of the things that we have to go and cover. Okay. As a leader, when the new programs come in, you have to keep learning. You do staff training if necessary. You implement new ideas. Okay. Something new comes up, something that happens. If you are current with the trends, you go and start learning yourself and you go and implement new ideas. In order to do a lot of that, that is the professional growth comes in. How do you keep up? You have to keep up with the trends in literature. Okay, what new books are available for students? What new books are available for you as for teachers, for the curriculum? What kind of technologies are available? Okay, and how do you connect with colleagues in the field? Because as a school librarian, I'm the only one person in a building, which means that I have to always reach out and connect with others. Whether it's within the school district, whether it is outside of the school district, or it can be outside of the country. A lot of the online connections that I have go beyond the four walls of my building, okay? And be part of library associations, technology associations, okay? So these are a couple things that we also do to keep up with that, okay? This professional growth, I feel, is constant, where you are not just a librarian helping others. you have to first believe in learning yourself. And that if you're a learner, you're going to keep learning. And when you keep learning, it's easier for you to share that education, share that knowledge, guide the students to get more if they need to. Okay. School library during COVID. During COVID just came by very quickly. It was very sudden. We had no idea we were going to be closed. We had no idea what it can be doing. And we were given a notice on Thursday afternoon for the students to bring all the materials home. We were given a snow day on Friday, and Monday onwards, we began online learning. The first 3 weeks of the online learning, we had created sort of like an emergency, teachers had created emergency plans so that we had activities for students to do from home. And teachers and all of us, faculty members, were given a lot of online training, whether it had to do with Google apps, Google different things, any kind of data management that we had to do. There was a lot of training. And thank God for our Teaneck School District that we had enough of technology for all students. Most of our middle school and high school students had one-on-one Chromebook, but also teachers had Chromebooks for themselves. We had technology that we could use from home. We have a lot of curriculum that we can use from home. So it made it easier for us to do a lot. So I thank our Teaneck administration for that. Once that happened, once we were home, and when we started going to, I had to figure out what am I going to do as a librarian, because nobody's going to come here anymore. And how am I going to continue? So I started looking for online resources that I can help with. What kind of online resources? Yes, I have used online resources before, like databases. I have some ebooks, but there are plenty of websites that I know that students can still use. And if they do use that, okay, how do we go about knowing whether these websites are okay? Okay, whether these websites, especially many of them have online learning platforms, how are they collecting the students' data? Do they want students to log in? If they do want students to log in, how do they go and take that data? What do they do with that data? Especially when it comes to children, with the laws of the children's protection on that, I want to be very careful of introducing any kind of resources that are, what are their privacy guidelines, okay? So that was one of the things that I always want to be sure that children are protected. The students that I have, their data is protected, their information is protected. But so when they go on sites which have general gaming things, which they can learn from, okay, I'd always tell them, please don't put your first name and last name together. Use either or. Use either one of the names or create a name that you are going to be able to use. Okay. How can I support people, my staff, by giving them different kinds of resources, whether it's online class forms, whether it's through emails, whether it's through chats. We are constantly in touch. We have a lot of online meetings. Okay, whether it's with students or whether it's with teachers. Okay, so it's whether I'm getting messages on Google Chats, I'm getting messages on regular messaging, I'm getting emails, I'm getting many different ways we are connecting through Google Classroom. Students and teachers are putting in comments. So there's plenty of different ways. But even with more than that, what else can I do? So we created for students and parents, we created our district website, okay? So media specialists, all the librarians in the district, which is 3 of us and our 4 wonderful paraprofessionals, we all got together online and we decided to create a website. And the website is actually having a lot of these online resources available for students. A lot of author sites where they can have books available. They can listen to the author talk, preview the books. There are many read alouds available, which of them are good, which of them are not good. So we check that part up, okay? So these are some of the things we provided not only to students, parents, and teachers. We do all of that together, okay? Services to that, again, same thing. How do you give them resources for parents? So if the child is bored and child wants to read something, where can they find it? How can they find it? Okay, so through many different ways, through our classrooms for each grade level, through reaching every student if possible, reaching all students if possible, individual child if possible, we try to support that. Okay, we support our PTO. If they need something, if they, that PTO was, our PTO has been wonderful. PTO is a parent teacher organization in our school district. They were the ones who actually had funds. They gave it to me last year to purchase the 3D printers. Okay, and when they gave those money and those equipment, we were, even though I taught the 3D design to students during the school year, then came the crisis, we were able to print the 3D face shields. I only had brought one 3D printer at home where I could print just a few of them with the limited amount of supply I had. And I left the 3 other printers at school, which luckily my supervisor was able to take it home, and he took all the rest of the materials. He printed hundreds of face shields that we donated to the local hospital. Teaneck, the community, the town where I work, was one of the first towns with the most cases. Okay, I know New Jersey has been second in the country after New York State for these COVID cases. Okay, so we try our best to help our students and support our community. So we created a website. We communicate with authors. Okay, if I needed to talk to some authors and make sure that it's okay for us to have a permission to read their book, or to the publisher, to the vendors, can you extend this service to us? How do I get an email, generic username, password, so that our students don't have to each log in with their names and create their accounts on all those sites. These are some of the things we did, but because the kids are also stuck at home, and they need some kind of little happiness or little find of connections, we did create, our staff created videos of sending them messages so that they can come back after spring break and feel connected with the teachers. So we created some uplifting videos for students. We created sort of like a virtual book club for students, so kids can read those books if they need to. Okay. In the past, I have had options during the school year where I would have the pre-pub books. So I would give that to the students, and we would have it as a Mockberry book club. This stopped because of this COVID. So what do we do? Can we create some kind of a virtual book club that, okay, these are the books available, you can read these books. I have in our collection about over 1,000 ebooks. So which I have given, so students have access to that, so they can go and check those books out. They can read it online at their own leisure. Okay. Professional growth. Online readings continues because there's a slew of emails coming constantly with all kinds of information, whether it's about COVID, whether it's about some kind of books available, whether it is some kind of publishers wanting to give us things, our public libraries wanting to help us with a lot of things. The Teaneck Public Library and the Children's Librarian at Teaneck Public Library has been a wonderful asset to a lot of things I do. So if we start research, I let them know if they have any books or materials that they can, they were the ones who, the woman, Amy Sear, she was the one who started me on having this Mockberry book club. So I'm thankful for that. And we collaborate, we talk to each other about what happens. How do we go about doing a lot of these things to provide services to students and parents and teachers who are everybody stuck in their own homes, okay? How can we meet online? So these are a lot of different things. Like, as you see, this is a presentation that's coming into everybody's homes around the world while we are all stuck inside. That's important to have that connection so that we can keep growing and learning for ourselves. Okay. What are the pros of remote working? There is always a better side. Luckily, we are in an age where we have online resources available. Okay. If it was even 25 years ago, we probably could not have coped with what we are doing today. So that's a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise. We can see these authors read because of the YouTube or many other platforms. Okay, publishers have been very good in giving us temporary access to many of these things. Okay, so even though our library staff and elementary children librarians, they are all reading online through their classrooms, through their school networks, to children as if they were actually in school. For children, they need that kind of connectivity. They need that kind of belonging, so that they know that they're still part of us. They're the librarians, the teachers, they still care about them, and we are there for them. Pacing yourself. I know teachers, especially, I see them are under a lot of stress because they are trying to create these lessons and provide structure into the classroom, making sure that each kid gets what they need. If the kid was not attended in the classroom, what is the reason? Is there a COVID situation? Is there any other kind of family situation? So teachers go above and beyond to reach out to the children to make sure we are all connected. We are still here for them. We are always there for them. That is very important. When you're working from home, time is fluid. So yes, if I was to work at school, you go during the school day and school hours. But when you're working from home, the messaging and everything starts at 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes it does not end till late night. And that's, in a way, it's a good thing, because it helps you understand that yes, you are needed, your work is valuable, there are people who do care. And also at the same time, even though it's tiring, you have the flexibility of working at any hours you want. Many teachers who have children of their own, young children of their own, or things that they have to take care of at home when everybody's stuck at home, have to balance that. Okay, I see teachers who are working at 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, depending on when the children go to sleep at home, and then they can work on their lesson plans, and they need resources at that time. And it's okay for us to help them as a librarian. It's okay. I can stay up till 10:30 at night if I need to help somebody. It is okay. I'm here for them. And they know that. And that's an important thing. Okay. So that's part of, I feel that it's a remote part of little benefit. If I was in school, they may not need me as much at night time or early morning time. That's a little blessing in a way. What is missing? The personal interaction. To see a child be happy by getting a book, to see a teacher having the, even though they text you and say thank you, but I know it would make us so much happiness if we were all together in a building. So that personal interaction of seeing everybody, making sure everybody's there okay, that is the hard part when we are not in school. So that personal interaction is really missing, because I can see that children, if as an adult we miss each other, I know children miss each other too, and the children miss their teachers and the stories that go on every day in school. For me as a librarian, I find if the kids cannot have those books in hand because they are doing all of the learning online, it's really hard. They cannot get away from the technology if they still have to read everything online. Sometimes some people, we need that quiet corner to sit and read a book without being connected online. And if you're a child, if you're a student, there's a lot more distractions online than having a book in your hand. So that I find that it can create some kind of a lack of motivation to read. Not all students have books at home. And to me, that is a little painful. I wish I could go and deliver those books and kids can come and still get books. How will that change going further is something that we have to ponder upon. everything being tech-based, it's great. I can create, I'm reading online, I'm creating reports online. I can, read book reviews and everything online, so I can prepare for my next year's orders online. But I am missing that interaction where a child would come and say, I like this book, maybe we should get another one of this. Or a teacher saying, hey, I read that book, I saw about this book, can you get that for us? That is the hard part that I feel that is missing in here. So I just received an email. I know we have to go back and get our stuff because we had not had time to even bring our personal stuff with us because of the COVID closing. So we are going to be able to go back at least a couple hours, pick up our stuff and come back. And I know they're going to do staggered way, safe way, so that everybody can go and do that. What am I going to do about the library? Library is the place where everybody comes. There's books, the kids touching the books, classes coming together, teachers coming, the technology that I have, the computers that they use, the printers they use. Where do we go from here? Where does the makerspace go from here? These are a lot of things that I have to think about. How do I retrieve books and other materials? I was listening to the Institute of Museums and Libraries, how they talk about the safety of materials and how to sanitize them or disinfect them to be able to circulate. Whether they circulate within 24 hours or 36 hours, once that guideline is given to us, then we know how to take care of that. That's another thing. I worry about that, whether hard copy books will totally be not usable for a long run for the future. Even if people can still, because we have it now, where does it go 20 years from now or 25 years from now? That's something that we need to think about. How do we go and create online curation and non-curated resources? How do we curate everything? It's very hard to curate everything. When I talk of my makerspace, when students come in makerspace and create things, it's not just the creating of something, it's also the collaboration I see amongst themselves, the teamwork, them trying to solve the problems. That it's going to be something that we'll have to see, where do we go from here with that. Digital citizenship. How do we know that in this day and age where there is so much information, so many resources online that people have access to, how are we using it? How much of it is designed for our benefit, or is it designed for the benefit of the creator? And how is the creator and privacy laws applied to them? That's something that we need to think about. Even though we teach them how to not to plagiarize and all of that, but who's collecting their data? Okay, how are they being monitored? How are they getting how can they differentiate between the fact and fiction? Those are the digital citizenship skills that I think we need to emphasize more and more now about using all of this. How do we reach the whole student? Okay, because a student has a lot of online needs as well as academic needs, but also they need that assurance, that confidence that we can give in them, the validity that we give in them as teachers, to say, as a librarian, where do we go? We go from here. How do I say, okay, it is okay if you look at this book today, and if you don't like it, okay, you cannot take the other book until 24 hours later. Is that what my fear is going to be? Because you touched that book, or I touched that book, or somebody else is touching that book? That is something that we need to think about. Same thing with the computers and the keyboards and headphones and all those type of technology that we have in school, whether will they be able to carry that when they need to charge that? How will all of that change once we go back to school? That's something that we need to think about. How do we meet the needs of every student? I know besides the library, also in the school building, okay? How do we learn to curate a lot of these ideas that the kids have when they're home, their experiences, create something for the next time, or so that they have remembered what they know from now so that it can be shared for future use. That's probably what I would start with, but then there's so many other more questions that I have that we can go from here. So every morning, when we get up, I revitalize, reconnect, re-educate myself by saying how. What can I do today? Who can I reach out and help? Maybe reach out one person, one teacher, one individual, see if I can connect with them, see if I can connect with a librarian somewhere else. And with that, how do I go about helping somebody? If there is something I need to learn today, okay, how do I learn about this? How do I go by and see if this author is going to give me permission, or if this author is going to be able to be, it will be wonderful for my students to see for a workshop. How do I get these books? How do I give them a glimpse of this books? Because there are a lot of books, read aloud books for younger students, but not for older students, because those are a couple 100-page books. And sometimes authors don't have that as read aloud books. So how do we go from there? How do we create where if I can provide an online book, and then how will they read? Each of them will read and then share with everybody. If we do that, how do we protect the copyright laws? Okay, these are some of the things that we have to keep thinking and keep doing about it. That's probably where it is going for helping students, staff, keeping up with the changes that is going to come. Make a spaces where the providing the needs of your community is going to be. How can the kids go and create designs or items that are of their need? Okay, that's the design, the problem design solving issues that they have to figure out and do it. But when they come to the library, how will we do that? Okay, how will they be able to work together until all of this is resolved? How will I create space and give them that kind of space? Not just give the space, but also give them the feedback and see how they can go and do, they can depend on each other without overrunning any boundaries. Is the technology going to change? Okay, we do have the technology right now, as you see, that we are communicating via video or audio. But the kids, will they have to use the keyboards, the mouse, and all of that, or will they be able to do everything online like this? Will there be research papers written that way for the temporary time till we have the cure of this? So these are some of the questions I have that I know which we all have once we go back to school in September. How do we protect ourselves? Okay, your own health, your own well-being. As a teacher with the family at home, some of us, many of us in New Jersey, New York area have lost other members. At least we know people who have been perished. How do you keep yourself sane? How do you keep yourself well-being? By having some balance of work and home and personal life and spiritual life, or anything you call it, okay? At the same time, be available as a resource for others. I know with the economic fall down that is happening simultaneously with the COVID, is how do we stay involved so as we don't become extinct as librarians? Because many times, and especially in US, I have seen many schools not wanting to have librarians if they can go all online resources, as we are doing right now. So how do we keep ourselves valuable? Where does our expertise come in? Where does the library science program takes us with online resources? These are some of the things that I know we all have to go and think about. I can talk more, but I know that probably people have questions. If there's any questions, comments, suggestions, I'm ready for that. I also want to thank you all for listening. I have given my email and my information on the slides. So if you need to reach out even after, you can. And let me take some questions. Okay. Okay. How can we check the authenticity of information flowed in the digital world? That's a very good question. It is a little difficult always, but there is, what kind of information are we looking at? Are we looking at information that is fact-based, where we can do a double check? Is it something that is current news, which we sometimes have to take it always with a grain of salt? We have to be careful about. That is something that we always have to do that. And when I tell students that it's much easier these days to create fake news than to create real news. So how do we go about that? That is one important thing. My question, the next one is, my question to the resource person for today's session is how to promote reading habits among kids and students during pandemic, and how a school librarian can make the online live sessions more interesting and interactive with the students of primary and middle school during this pandemic. This is by Manisha. Thank you, Manisha, for asking that question. What we are trying in our school with librarians and paraprofessionals together are having read alouds. We have sought permissions from many of the publishers that we can do these. And in order to do this, we always credit the publishers first. And we know it's a temporary thing. We know that we are not going to keep these recordings forever, so that we do not hurt the authors and the publishing companies. So how do we go and promote this reading habits? Well, it depends. That's where the personal librarianship in a school librarian comes in, where we go by and say to students, or if you know your students and say, this is something you might be interesting to you. Take a look, see if you like it. Will every student like every book? That's absolutely not. Do we all like same books? No. So you have to keep reaching out with many different things. And then based on what each person likes, sometimes they'll come tell you. Sometimes they say, oh, I like this one, but I would prefer the other one. Sometimes they'll say, I don't like this at all. Okay, and that's okay. You have to keep reaching out to students by showing them different kinds of books that you have and reading aloud if necessary for elementary kids. For middle school students, if they are interested in reading, because by the time they have already developed what they like to read, sort of, if they know what they like to read, they will go and find it. They will go and seek it. If they don't know where to seek it, and if you really want to help them, see based on their circulations of what they have checked out before, you can go and see and then go and help them get that. I'm going to read the next question from Alka Rai, Deputy Librarian from Ambedkar University, Delhi. Is there a challenge of digital divide in online learning? Lots of newspapers highlighting the problem of digital divide in USA too. Thank you. Thank you, Alka. Thank you for that question. Yes, there is. there is a digital divide in online learning, mostly because we are still in a stage of online learning where not everybody has the same internet access. Not everybody has the same internet usage proficiency. So based on that, it depends on who is there, what they have, and that's where we as school librarians come in to see that how we can bridge that gap, how we can show them whether if it is online here and it's not online there, we can balance that by the both ways. But during this time of pandemic that we have, the digital divide is very, very critical. Many districts, like our school district in Teaneck, they have provided many students who did not have Wi-Fi, they've given them Wi-Fi. Many students and they have given everybody a device so that we have something for students to go home and do it. But if you think about kindergartners, 5-year-olds, they cannot do a lot of those things online. So depending on what age group there is, the difference between a kindergartner and a high schooler is very much different because their levels of proficiency on the technology is different. Even if I gave them both the same device, they cannot do the same thing. So that's one important thing. The other thing is not having the device at all, not having the Wi-Fi at all. It's very different. So there's a lot of those type of things that we have to be aware of. And that's probably one of the side effects I think we will see going forward, that there are people who are able to catch up easier with technology when they had access compared to the ones who did not have access. Hope that answers your question. How Ajay Kumar is asking about how to create the virtual book club. If there is a book that you have available online, digital books online, you can assign that to students. We have that. I work with our public librarian in Teaneck, where students have access to getting online books, the ebooks. And if they want to read the same book together, then they can read that together and discuss amongst themselves, discuss with us if need be. So that's very important. Okay. And the management mindset towards school library in India is not so great. There will be assigning you not only library work, but also other tasks not related to library. How can we change that mindset? How can we change that mindset? Make yourself as important so that we have the resources you can bring, the value that you can bring by knowing, especially being in a school, knowing the curriculum, knowing your faculty, knowing what they want, knowing what their strengths are, knowing what their weaknesses are, how you can help them. Will we be able to help every single person? Will we be able to help every single student or every single teacher? Probably not. But if you start by a grade level or a curriculum wise and see how you can pull in, and it will come. As I also put myself into a management position, if I was in school management, who can I depend on more for other things? The classroom teachers are usually the ones who have students in their classroom. They cannot reach out to the classroom teacher, take the teacher out of the room to do a lot of other things. That gives them an opportunity to reach out to you as a librarian, as a media specialist, because they have faith in you. So if you stretch yourself to extension where you are a partner to them, and you're a partner to students, you're a partner to the teachers, but also to your administrators, they know they can depend on you. And when they know that you are not resenting and you're helping them, they will be there to help you too. because we are all in together in the school building. If there is a need for something, you need to help them, go ahead, help them. Make sure you also put in and say that what you do is important and you will be coming back to ask for their help, okay? That's important to know. So always keep your stand on that. If the PTO or the parents, the students, they all value you for helping them, they will always be there for you. I am blessed with having a good PTO support, with good administrative support, great colleagues who help me and I help them. So that's a very good thing. Do I have to do other things besides running the library? Absolutely. There's plenty more that I have to do, like whether it comes to our benchmark testing, our state testings, all of the other things and many other things that we help with. But that's okay, you're part of the community, okay? The next question is, how and what do you do with student privacy when providing resources to children during COVID-19? By Dr. Saeed Mohammed. Thank you very much for that question, because that is one of the biggest worry that I have. With many of these online resources, whether it's websites where they have games, and especially for younger students, younger children, I worry about, who are not as savvy about creating and putting their information online. They don't hesitate to put their name or their parents' name or their date of birth or their town they live in if it is asked for them to go and sign in to play a game that is, even though it's an educational game. And to me, that's a big worry. So I always check to make sure that I always tell the students, at least in my middle school, not to go and do that online. Put in your nickname. Do not ever create any accounts with your actual date of birth, because you do not know who's collecting that data and what are they going to use that data for. These are some things I tell them. I'm not telling them to lie totally on it, but at the same time, if you use just your first name, that's okay. If you're using just your last name, that's okay. You can just use your nickname, create something that you like. The next question I'm looking is, yes, can we introduce open educational resources in India up to secondary level by school libraries to save some cost or money due to day-by-day costly private education in our country? What is your opinion? That question is basically for government of India to answer. I wish I can answer that. There's a lot of things available online in terms for the world to see. There's universities like MUTA that offer a lot of online free resources. I use, especially, I know this connects also with the previous question of online resources privacy, is commonsensemedia.org website. And that website of commonsensemedia.org, and if you can see my screen, I can go back and see if I can go to another screen to see if I can show that screen to you. Oh, this is a website that we had created, which has a lot of media centers for elementary schools, digital resources, read alouds, middle schools, read alouds, and our high school read alouds. So this is where we create and we add things, our library catalog, which has our library, a lot of online resources. But if I go to my middle school digital resources, I have created things that are available for students to read and what is needed and how it is going to affect them. There are how many apps that they can use, which are okay for them to use for the privacy laws kind of thing. Where do I go for the privacy laws? Let me take you to that part. And
Miss, the question is about that open access resources are available for the postgraduate, graduates, students, but how the open access resources can be created or generated for the elementary school children. Because one of the participants asked the question that this suddenly happens and we were not prepared at all, and now the management has told us to take the online classes from June onwards. Then which are those open access resources? If you know, then you can share with them so that it will be beneficial to them.
Okay. There are many other, many of the online available resources available. It depends, especially in here, we have our statewide curriculum guidelines that we have to follow. But there are many other places, and one of them is the one that the Common Sense Media has created, okay, and that is called Wide Open School. So if you go to Wide Open School, okay, and in that they have created, now I'm hoping that you have access to this in elsewhere in the world, I'm not so sure, but if you go in as an educator and you can go and select, especially for younger students, and you can have, what are you looking for? What kind of resources you need? So if you need something, let's say math-based, and if you are needing for math-based, what kind of resources you can use? So depending on whichever one you want to use for, there are activities that are given and there are lessons that are given that you can use. So there's plenty of things in here. I know one of them is the Khan Academy, which we use a lot in our schools, but there's plenty more in here for knowledge on the go, the ABCYA. All of these are very much available for them to use.
I could access that wide open school, and it is opening from here, India.
Oh.
So that maybe then it is accessible to all. There are a lot of questions. They are asking one particular question, that is, what is that girl who code?
The Girls Who Code?
Yes.
Girls Who Code is a program that is created for girls. Okay, give me 1 second, I'll show that to you. Okay. This is a program that is sort of like a voluntary program where people can learn, the girls, to get more girls in the STEM program. I created this program for our students, girls in our school, so that they can learn how to code and feel good about it. Because it's not the coding and the math and all of that that STEM talks about is not only for boys, because that's that you see in that field of STEM, there's a lot more male than the female participants or programmers. So this is a code that was created. This was an organization that is created by a woman who is who happens to be of Indian descent also. And she created, this is a free program for teachers in US to sign in and create their own clubs or a course. And the students can read a book of not only learning how to code, but also how to be a team, how to work with other girls, how to work with other women and depend on them. So the baseline being that, you know, if there was a programmer man and if he had a question, he would immediately not think about it. He'll always find another man to call and say, hey, how do I do this? Women sometimes don't do that. And this, especially at a younger age, if we create this within the girls so that they have some kind of a connectivity of building the team. And I started this with the grade 5, and I did 5th grade and 8th grade. And I could see the difference between my 5th graders making that team where they learn to depend, oh, so-and-so is not here. Let me see if I can get that student here so that we can do this together. So that team building, if it starts early on for the girls, it's going to help them in the long run. And that's the goal of this. Okay.
There is another question that is the digital divide still exist in USA?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because not everybody has same kind of devices, same kind of internet. It also depends on where you are located. It depends on the economic, socioeconomic ladder of the society. So there's, yes, there is, it's there in every part of the world.
Okay, there is a very good question by Paritosh Pawar. He is asking, US government has US government authorities issued any guidelines for libraries about how the library functioning should begin post-COVID?
That's a wonderful question. Most important, I would say that not only for libraries to begin, the library associations must begin to reach out to the education institutions and other institutions, whether it's schools K through 12 or even academic areas, so that professionals in other areas learn to depend upon the expertise of librarians. They learn how to collaborate. They learn how to have the strategies of what kind of research they need to do, how they need to, how can this person help me? Okay. That is very important to know and do. I find many times that not everybody has that access. And especially when I'm working in a school and I know like many teachers that when they come in, they're hesitant to ask for information because they don't want to seem like they don't know. But if we as our library associations have gone up to the education schools where they are taught that it's okay to collaborate with librarians and go and ask them. Okay, so
2-3 questions regarding how to create a virtual book club.
okay, if you have a virtual, if you have an ebook or virtual books, online books, you can use those books and have students read through them, and they can either meet through Zoom or Google Meet or whichever other online versions if they want to meet together and read it. I've seen it depending on my colleagues, not in to see how they do it in different ways. Where I have not done it myself, so I cannot say for myself, but I know I've talked to my other colleagues who do it, especially in the elementary level, where they have created, they will have a Google Meet because we use Google in our districts, and how they can have the whole class come and they can all read the same page, which is shared online on the same screen, like how we are sharing right now. That's one way to go and do that.
Okay, another question is about how parents are involved in library activities.
It depends on the type of the library, the culture of the school, how they are involved. Usually in middle school, high school, it's very hard for parents to be involved with the library per se. But I know in the elementary schools that I know many librarians have the parents who come in because the librarian is teaching classes, they're reading stories, they're doing makerspace. So they're busy with the part of running the media center or the library, and the parents are there to help them. So if there's a project that's coming up, they will come help cut the paper or make copies of the paper or the items that they need. They will be there to help shelve the books. I know a friend of mine who has a wonderful library where in elementary K through 5, and her parent team, every day there is a parent who comes in for a couple hours, different parents and they have a schedule for the parents. They come in and they shelve the books. They make sure this is all tidied up. This books needs whatever processing it needs. They're always there to help. So it depends on each library, how they can handle things. The hard part is in the middle school, high school, where sometimes it's hard to get the parents in that direct way. I do have a couple parents who I had, once their children were out of my school, they came back and they were helping me with library shelving and inventory and things like that. But in middle school, high school, I have student volunteers, and they do it and they love it. So it depends on the type of the library, how you can enroll, who you can enroll, okay, or who you accept the help from. The training part of them, the part of giving them the task and being mindful of making sure that they do the right task the right way.
Okay. There is a question from the MUTA Association that is the concept of personal librarian is existed in school libraries?
I consider myself personal to a librarian to all my students and all my teachers. Yes. I am their librarian and I am there for them. So the whole concept of the personal librarian that in the university has is not per se, not in that definition in the school library, because I'm the only one in my school. However, if you reach out to make sure that everybody knows that you are there for them, then you are their personal librarian.
Yes, absolutely true. There is another question that looking after the whole library alone and maintaining relationship with teachers is very difficult. I have learned it that way you manage the whole thing and I'm enriched. So this is a compliment. But another question again, someone has asked that, ma'am, all students do not belong to the privileged groups with smartphone, internet facility. How do you suggest to deal with them?
Well, it is very hard if the students do not have some kind of a internet device or a technological device, and we have students like that. Our public library, especially I'm talking during COVID. I'm not talking before or after thing. During COVID, I've seen that our district has gone way out of reach to help make sure everybody has that access. So that is one very good thing that I've seen our district do it. Our local internet providers have gone above and beyond to make sure they provide access to many of these students, or the communities in the area. If they didn't have an internet in that area, or then they have given them that access. So that is one very good thing. I have seen that happen. Before the COVID, if people didn't have it, it was harder. But we always made sure that the students had access if they didn't have internet at home, and teachers were assigning, like we were assigning, our schools were assigning and doing a lot of online things before also. So it was much easier for us to do a lot of things during COVID. If we had that access before, if students didn't have internet access at home before, they could go to the school library. I had students who would stay in the library after the school was over, or they would come in early in the morning so they can finish up their schoolwork. They would come during their recess time to finish their schoolwork. So we have that privilege that we can provide that access. If they live near our public library, they would go to the public library. Also, I know in the United States, we have a couple areas where there are cafes that have free internet access, like Starbucks cafe where they can go buy or something, or some restaurants where they can have that internet access. So they have had that opportunity to do that if they needed to. Okay.
There is a question, not a question, but many participant has suggested that you should share with them the resources which are freely available so that all school librarians can use. Okay, and this question is about, children who are of age like 5, 6, 7, their attention span is so less. How we can manage with them providing the library services, which will be very difficult for a librarian to manage.
That is correct. I will provide the resources. The resources I have are also, many of them are on my website, our school district website, and I'll add that link to the presentation at the bottom so that you have that access. Let me go back and do that right now. And then the only part is I'm not so sure of all the laws that international laws where how people can have access to that. So if you're a librarian in some other country, just please make sure you are not violating the copyright laws of your country or our country. That's important. Providing access to the younger children in the elementary schools in the library, it depends on how much time are we talking about. If you're talking about like 30-minute class period, by the time they come, you go through the routine of certain things. You read them a book, they can select a book that are given to them, you check out a book, or you do an activity. That should all, between all of the different tasks that you have in mind, that should take up the time. I've been lucky enough to teach K through 12, so It is always challenging with the little students to make sure that the routine is kept, so that if you are going to do whichever way routine is going to be, whether you're going to read the book first and then do the activity, or however, whichever way, keep that routine in mind, because the younger children need that structure. So that's the important part with the younger students, I find.
Okay, there is one question then, because we are shut down and we are providing library services online, what is the future of library period, which is physically taken in library itself?
Okay.
So what are we going to do with that?
Okay, so it depends on where it is and how it is for younger students. I know in our school district, we have a library, we call it an encore or an extra class period, where teachers come in sometimes, and I mean, not in my particular case because I have a flexible scheduling, but I know in other schools, my colleagues in other districts they go online on Google Classroom. They have a Google Meet with the students. Their kids read books. They do an activity together. They have some kind of a question answer sessions together. So they do talk. So the teachers do keep involved themselves, students involved for that class time period, whatever the time is suggested by their administrators.
Okay, there are many questions about digital citizenship.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Digital citizenship is something that is also by the Common Sense Media. So if you look at the Common Sense Media, the education website, they have digital citizenship. They have lesson plans. They have how to do it as implementation guides, how to involve family, how to have posters. They have different grade levels, and there are classes that there are games that the kids can play. And these are really fun things for the kids to do, which teach them about many of the things like plagiarism, or, safe, like, when you're walking and talking on the classroom with a cell phone, we call that, it's a game called Talkers. So are you going to talk? Are you going to walk? What are you going to do? What is safe to do? If you're going to create a video project, and if you take music from somewhere or pictures from somewhere, or you take video clips from somewhere, make sure you cite them, make sure you have permission to do that. So these are important things that this digital citizenship teaches. I teach a lot of these type of modified courses, whether it has to deal with fake news, the effect of social media, how your digital footprints. These are some of the courses that I use from this area, and I modified to my student need. It has changed over the years that I've been doing it. So there's plenty more in here that you can go and do it. Okay.
Madam, questions are pouring like anything. You have displayed your email ID as well as your details are given. We will definitely convey the rest of the questions to you. Now it's a time to end, not the end, but we have to stop the session, unfortunately. And thank you very much for this. And I can say, wow, it was an amazing presentation, and the question answers you handle so well. And I'm very sure that participants have enriched because of your knowledge that you have shared here. Okay, so a big round of applause from me on behalf of all participants who are listening to you for serving, nurturing and nourishing young minds with the information services you provide, and even for your contribution in serving healthcare workers with the help of libraries, maker spaces that really added a new dimension to the library service. Madam, questions, I'm going to forward the questions to you, but now for time being, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our speaker. Mrs. Hina Mehta, please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding presentation you made to the International FDP about your experiences as a school librarian. It was very interesting to hear about your experience and thoughts thoughts about school library system in this COVID crisis scenario. The slides you showed and the website you've shown that gave us a close look of your library system as well as the resources that you handle and that we couldn't have gained in any other way. Thank you so much for sharing your time and experiences with us. We all agreed that your lecture was the most interesting and beneficial to the entire librarians community. And thank you for that. Okay. I must thank
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, I must thank entire International FDP Organizing Committee for working tirelessly to make this day successful. I also thank Jade Vatumil Vasaduvela Girls College for extending their help and MUTA for their technical support. I thank all the participants who showed interest in attending the session and asked valuable questions. Thank you all. One important announcement for tomorrow that tomorrow's lecture is on Library and Information Science Education System in Bangladesh by Professor Mesbah, who is a professor of Information Science and Library Management Department of University of Dhaka, Bangladesh, will be addressing the virtual gathering at 2:30 p.m. Indian time. A request for all participants to fill up the feedback form posted in the comment box of live streaming. It is important to fill up the form today itself. Have a good day, Hina Madam, and see you all participants tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Bye-bye.